That's how the mind works. Mind works like this as well. A guy named Adam, like some of you, you're born outside of Australia. And Adam was born in India. So at about the age of 5, he was being a kid. Kids do crazy things all the time. Him and his brother were playing out the back of their place in India, and it was just dirt out the back, but they had a cardboard box and they had an imagination. And they took the cardboard box and they drew a windscreen on it, they cut out some wheels, and him and his brother are fantasizing about what life is going to be like. And they start creating all these fantasies. So Adam's in his car and he's driving it, and his brother's saying, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm driving the car." And he's in the cardboard box, and he's like, "Well, who's in the car with you?" And he goes, "My wife's in the car with me." And he's imagining his wife's in the car, so he's driving around, and his brother's saying, "Well, what else?" And he goes, "Well, a couple of kids." And he goes, "Just a couple?" He goes, "I just want an average family." So he says, "I want to have an average family." And he fantasizes about this driving around. They're having a great time. If you've got kids, you know what I mean. Then, like a lot of Indian families, they had to leave the country because somebody got educated, like his dad. Now we can't earn good money. But if I leave what's familiar, I can go out, get out of my comfort zone and get into my success zone. And the success zone for him was in the bottom of South Africa. Any South Africans here? Okay, huge Indian population, right? So they went over to the bottom of South Africa. And they went over there, and the dad is an accountant, and now the dad's earning like 40 grand a year. So he's about age 11, dad's earning $40,000. And at about age 11, kids start to dress up, you know, in the mum and dad's clothes. They pretend, they get the razor out and they're shaving, and they start to look at their parents and like, wow, my parents are just super cool and I want to do what they do. So he's looking at his dad's an accountant, he's going, wow, he's earning 40 grand. That's huge amounts of money for an Indian family back in the 70s, and now they're in a new country. So the dad's happy, they're earning great money. But in the 70s, coming into the 80s, the economy crashes and now they've got to move. So they move out of here and they move over to Canada. So I think Adam's about 15 by this stage, and his dad gets to Canada and his dad's earning $40,000. That's a big difference from $40,000 in South Africa, but his dad always wanted to earn $40,000, so his dad's happy. Adam gets here and Adam discovers that now with an American school or an English school, P's equal degrees. And he's like, this is awesome, because as an Indian kid going to an Indian school, they're always crushing my balls because I've got to get 100%. So he gets to Canada and he discovers that P's equal degrees. So now he does the absolute minimum in order to pass. And he's loving it because he gets to come home from school, no study, but he's still getting rewarded with his pass mark. So he does this, and then he says, you know what, I want to get into computers. And he leaves school, goes to university, and he's at university, and he's about 21, and the same thing. P's equal degrees, again. Equal sign should go in there. And he goes to university. And again, he gets the average mark and gets rewarded. So he's thinking to himself, I want to earn $40,000. And he goes, if I can earn $40,000 like my dad's earned 40 grand, then I'll be happy. So he goes there, P's equal degrees, he's doing all the naughty things they do at university, and at 24, he's almost completed his degree. And he's just rocked up, done the minimum, and a computer company comes in and says, we want people to come and be computer engineers. We're offering a package of $40,000. And he's like, oh, eureka, that's me. So he says, I'm going to take that. And he left university. So he hit his goal. His goal was 40 grand, and he's 24. And he's like, I'm earning $40,000. So he leaves university, and now he calls me at age 38, and he says, Daniel, I've got a problem. I said, what's that? He goes, since I was 24, I've only ever earned $40,000. And I said, really? How's that a problem? And he said, well, it's a problem because every time in the past I've earned 45, he goes, I take my foot off the accelerator pedal of life and I start to coast. And I said, what happens when you coast? And he goes, well, I end up getting down to 35. he goes, so I self-sabotage myself at 45. I get to 35 and I get in this scrambling behaviour and I find a short wind and I get back to 40. I said, what do you do when you get to 40? He goes, I'm comfortable. I said, okay, then what happens? And he goes, well, market changes, cost of living goes up. And he goes, then I change my focus and I go out and I start a new project. And all of a sudden, my income goes up to 45. Done another $5,000. I said, then what happens? He says, well, I take the foot off the accelerator and I start to coast. And I said, what happens? He goes, I always go back to $35,000. He called me when he was here. When he got more than he thought he deserved, he started going to self-sabotaging behaviours. Then he'd take his foot off the accelerator, then he'd get to 35 and he'd start to get into scrambling behaviours. So his life is up and down. So when we averaged all this out, how much does he earn? How much does his dad earn? And what did he say when he was 5 years of age?
You want him to be average.
What did he get? 5 years old. This is your modelling period. What's happening in your life today is based on what was happening in your past. The present has very little to do with your results. It comes back to this conditioning, and as you can see it here, it started out with a fantasy. He got into it, used his imagination, and at 5 years of age, 40 grand was a lot of money for him. But then he reinforced it with his family. He was also trapped here by his father's goal. And then he reinforced this average behaviour when he found out P's equal degrees. So he's replicated this behaviour throughout his life, through his teen years, then into university, then he got the average wage. And then when he ever tried to do something better, because he never reset this, he ended up getting that. So successfully, he achieved what he said he wanted at 5. Successful. So we've got to say, yes, that's a form of success, but it's not what he wanted. Do you have friends like this? You've seen people like this out there in the world? It's really common. Pardon?
I said in the mirror.
In the mirror. Yeah. Which is cool. Because it's your reflection, you can do something about it. So welcome. We're going to play with the mind.